I'm going to do a fast video. The V2K talkers are now trying to control which types of topics I go talk to you guys about. And so they're also trying to say that since no one likes me, it doesn't matter. That, they're so obsessed with, I'm going to give you a list. This is what I'm going to talk to you guys about, what their obsessions are. They said when someone said out loud obsession instead of compulsion, I should have corrected that person. There are two different issues, and I'm not feeling great, so I'm not going to get too much into it, but I'll put the definition. There is a difference between an obsession, as you guys know, we're familiar with that word, and a compulsion and what that means. But I don't want to go on to their topic, but let me tell you what they're obsessed with. Not just your hairstyle and how you do your hair, but the texture, facial features in a way that most of us we're not familiar with. We're not familiar with foreheads and nose sizes and shapes or facial features that connect with certain groups. Like it's so far out of what I would even understand. I wouldn't even know how to search for it. Like how would I even search for like head shapes according to race? Like how would I even search for that? That's what I'm trying to tell you folks. The things that this is discussing is so out of what anyone I knew growing up ever thought about. I've never in my life, and they keep saying you can't say the word never. I can say never. Ever had a normal person, an American normal person I grow up with, explain how different facial shapes and features are with certain races in a certain way that these people are speaking of. We don't learn any of this. They talk about Hitler. They talk about how there are books about this. No one I know would know the title of those books. Like, what would you call, like, how would you even call that book? It's such a, and they keep saying it's like such a way that they can classify race that is in other countries. It's not an American thing. And that's something so big. So they're obsessed with this. They expected me to look for it. I wouldn't even know how to search for it. Like, how would you even begin to search and find that? They said they're obsessed with explaining what the I use the thumbnail cats and dogs. I'm not going to use it on this because I got to get to something else about cats and dogs and how cats land on their feet. So that's a compliment. Whereas dogs, I guess, like me, that's what they keep calling me. We're supposed to, like they said, they can shoot me and leave me in the street like a dog. Again, something I wouldn't think of, which is part of what I'm saying. They get really upset when I say, if you're going to talk about me in this system and put it into my apartment, don't put this shit in my apartment. I don't want to hear this. It's not synthetic telepathy at all. It's just a bunch of racist stuff. And it's not, they said they thought they could like manipulate me into feeling this way. I wouldn't even understand. Like I don't even understand dog and cat different head shapes and face shapes like that. They're lying about a lot of issues, and that's part of why this had to come out this way and it had to be public. They're not talking about, they're talking about racial things and really, like, you know how years ago people used to study people's heads, like that type of stuff. In American schools we didn't learn that, where you touch people's heads and we never learned anything about that. And that's part of what I'm saying. I would have to get into things that have been proven wrong on so many levels, and then they think I'm going to believe it. I'm not. The other thing they're obsessed with, so they're obsessed with that. They're also obsessed with trying to connect strange little things to them. It's not even in the same realm. Like, you know, they're trying to connect certain things to different races. That's what I'm saying. It's beyond racist. It's something that we don't grow up talking about or understanding. So just to go back, I'm not going to repeat what they just falsely accused someone else of. Not just me. I'm not the only one who gets falsely accused accusations. They said it's connected to race. Nobody ever said it's connected to race until they said it. So they said, I used to be able to generalize and come up with, like, you know, when you're in science, there's a hypothesis and then there's a conclusion. So you make a hypothesis about something. Like what that means is, like, in general, like, I don't know, if you see a pink, then you think, conclusion is you think of Barbie, let's say. So that's your hypothesis. Pink is connected to Barbie. And your conclusion will be pink is equal to Barbie. The hypothesis has to be based on something that kind of makes sense. Pink being connected to Barbie does make sense, but their hypotheses do not make any sense. It's like, what does that have to do with that? It doesn't. It's not something that a normal American would even think of. Most of us don't even think of head shapes because we're not taught anything about that. That's been disproven way before I was born. It was disproven like years and years and years and years ago. But why would I even think about that? The other thing they're obsessed with, so they're obsessed with racism, but the other thing they're obsessed with is trying to make it seem like they're coming up with my ideas before I come up with it. But if there's something I always do, like I always do interpretation of day. Now they're like, do interpretation of day. Here, let me suggest one. That is what I've been trying to explain. This is what this was supposed to be. It wasn't supposed to be them giving me ideas. It's supposed to be them trying to drive me crazy, take credit for my own ideas, and then give me crap. They're not giving me anything good, which is part of why, even though I hate this, people can hear this is nothing like what my channel was supposed to be about. The other thing is, I took a picture of a comment that was left about how this technology attacks our central nervous system. Now, I'm not sure about that. I know it attacks nerves and muscles, but whether I'm how I I wouldn't know whether it attacks the central nervous system, which is a bigger issue. So they're obsessed with that comment. I think partially because they want me to start talking about things that I don't know anything about. So when they're not talking about head shapes and, different parts of your head and so forth, then they go into things that could not talk to you guys about. Was there something else I wanted to tell you guys? Oh, they also wanted to say some things that I said I wouldn't do in a video. I ended up doing, like drawing on a glass jar. Now, I've shown you uh videos where I drew on a bottle because I saw a really cool video. A woman made a bottle similar to this and I thought it was cool. But then I went into drawing on a bottle. So when they said I went into drawing on a jar, that it was because they suggested and I said I wouldn't do it. It's because I saw YouTube videos that I saw other people make and it was so pretty that I wanted to try it. So the other big thing they keep talking about is in a video I said I have an amazing craft where this woman made something. That's because I have a playlist called Amazing Crafts. So if you're a crafter and if I'm feeling well, I gotta admit sometimes I'm not feeling well, so I can't always go through every comment and comment. Sometimes I just like, or if it's something that I can't really respond to, I leave it alone. I have a playlist called Amazing Crafts. When I find a craft that's so amazing that I want to share with you guys, I talk to you guys about it, and then I take an element from it and try to come up with something that's similar to show you, giving credit to the crafter. So they said that was originally their idea. Their idea was not that. There are common crafts, like as you guys know, some crafts are done so much that you don't have to give credit to the crafter because it's been done so much. So a common craft, for example, is recycling, reusing, and repurposing glass jars. Everyone does that. It's something that's common now. And when I see shows, I'm not going to name the show, but I recently saw a show where they had a wedding scene and it was so pretty. They put on like the railing mason jars, or you could actually use other jars with little flowers. So in the wedding, they used jars as decoration, and it was so pretty. That's such a common craft that you wouldn't have to find the place you saw it first. But the reason they want me to do that is because they're trying to come up with this weird, like, life story of mine where they get the first reference I've ever had of something. Now, I'm 50 years old. It was though when I was growing up, people reused jars also. I mean, could you imagine giving someone on YouTube, which was no insult to YouTube. I love YouTube, but YouTube wasn't around when I was growing up. Credit for something that people did for years. People have always reused jars, even bottles. So for them to keep trying to do that, it's to me more of their obsession with the idea that, how can I explain this? This is a hard idea for me to explain because it's coming from somewhere deep in me. It's the idea that we as Americans don't know something until we see it somewhere else, as opposed to us having done these things before. And why I say it's a foreign idea is there are a lot of things in America we started doing and we've done for ages. And as these people come around and try to rewrite history, they're hurting something in me so deep that it's hard for me to explain. It's like Americans have been doing these things for so long that for these people to come around and say, well, my first contact with something had to be on YouTube. It couldn't have been. Reusing glass jars has has or have has been done. I'm not sure. Has been done for so many decades in America that the idea that I would have to see it on a YouTube video and give that person credit for it is ridiculous. What I do is give credit for an idea that is completely amazing, something I haven't seen anyone else do. Doesn't mean no one else has ever done it, but I haven't seen anyone else do. Why that bothers me, and I'm trying to get why it bothers me, is the idea that these people want to steal my ideas. And a lot of my ideas come from my growing up. That they don't want, they said they want to get me out of the thought that I inspired them. So it's okay for them to take the idea if I saw it from somewhere else. But what I'm also saying is something deeper. If you knew these ideas existed in someone else, you would have taken it directly from them. You wouldn't need me. The fact that you need me, I feel, is stealing from not only my vision of something, but the rewriting America. As many issues as many issues as we have in this country, one thing that we were able to do is get ideas from very many different people with different backgrounds. And if people are coming from places that don't have all of these different